Hello and welcome to our next lesson on Excel. This is lesson 7, the fast and the accelerating. Well, no, that's actually not what it is. This is lesson 7 and we're talking about filters. That's decidedly less interesting, I suppose, but that's okay. Before we begin, make sure that you've got open our sample document here, which is called Sample Superstore Sales. And we will be using this for this lesson and probably the next one. Now, the reason why I chose this document is because it is massive. We have a lot of fields. In fact, if you scroll all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, you'll notice we have 8,400, that's 8,400 rows of purchase information. This is a massive document. Fields, we have everything from the dates that items were ordered to their priority, their shipping method, what the cost and profit was, where it's coming from, the region, who did the ordering, and so on. I mean, just tons and tons of information. And this database, we could almost call it a database. It does not quite a database, but this near database of information is the kind of spreadsheet you might expect to see when you're working for many different industries that have lots of cash flow in and out in terms of buying, selling, and or reselling of product. But it could also be in consumer services. There's many different applications where you might end up gradually accumulating a large piece of data like that. So simply looking through a spreadsheet like this is daunting, I would say, to say the least, daunting. We have a few different ways in which we can do that. You could find something if you wanted to find something. So by hitting Control F, we get the find dialog, and we could look for, let's say, critical, and see if there's any critical shipments. So there's 2 critical shipments right off the bat, but this gets to be brutal. I mean, there's no rhyme nor reason. Basically, everything, all this data right now is sorted by its row ID from smallest to largest. So things are not organized by date or anything else. They're simply organized by their location within the database. So having to look through this would not be a fun or exciting prospect, because you're not really going to end up with a lot of data that you can easily search for by name, except for if you're maybe looking for who's purchased a single thing. But these items, you'd have to know their names. And anyways, it's a bit of a mess. So that's why we get to filtering. So the filters, you'll see these arrows up here. Okay. Now, if these are not visible on yours, you can go in the Home tab on your ribbon under Editing. Right here, there's Sort and Filter. And you just want to have this, oh goodness, filter button depressed. So if it looks like this right now, where there are none of these down arrows, just sort and filter, hit the filter button, and we get filter options for each of our columns. Note, this is just for the columns, not for the rows. So let's say we wanted to do a specific filter. Let's take it by dollar value. So say we wanted to find, if we hit our filter button, well, let's start here. We could do a couple of things. We can search by different values. So essentially this filter list here has a list of every dollar value that appears in this document in terms of sales. So that's not really going to work. So we could choose to have one of those, but we're not looking for dollar values of a specific type. We just kind of want to know a volume of sales that fall within a certain limit. So we can go, because this Excel recognizes this as a series of numbers, as we can have number filters. So we can look for values which equal a certain thing, which is kind of pointless because we have a list of all the things that we possible filters that equal a specific number. But you can also do greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or between. So, and then we've got, top 10, what's the top 10 most expensive things in the list? What are only things that are above the median average, below average? So, and there's lots of custom filters, but a common one we would want to use in a situation like this would be the between filter. And so the between filter asks us, using our sales, so it says sales here because we are using that row for filter, we want greater than 1,000 and less than or equal to 2,000. Greater than or equal to as well. So if we hit OK, suddenly we now have a much smaller list. Still quite substantial, but we're looking at a specific type of sale volume. But we're not limited to just one filter. We've used tables in the past, and the tables in the past really like to only work under one filter because they were an automatic table. It was a small amount of data. We're dealing with not a table, but just a basic spreadsheet. We can filter by multiple things at once. So say we wanted to find out sales of things that were shipped only by air package. So this type of filter, see, there's only 3 options for how this company is sending their product. So regular air, let's go express air. Okay, we'll do that. And now you'll see that our list has quite substantially decreased in size once again. But now what I really want to know is how many of those $1,000 to $2,000 orders were of critical order priority. So they were needed right now. They were needed right now. And we may need to look at an event under which you might need to look at something like this is if you're sending out a whole bunch of stuff by express air, which is the most expensive type of shipping available, and they're marked critical, so you're trying to go for really the most expensive type as opposed to just low priority. How many sales fell in between these values, or maybe how many sales values fell under a certain threshold, like $500, at which point perhaps you find that your sales are no longer going to be profitable if you're express shipping those sort of things. So there's lots of reasons why you might want to do some filters or multiple filters along those lines. Now, one thing I want to point out that's not what I meant to do. One thing I want to point out is look right along here, along the left. The first one is row 387. The next one is row 908. So what is happening here is we're sorting the data, or we're not sorting the data, we're hiding any data that is not relevant to our search, which means the data doesn't move from the row that it exists in. So this sale right here, which is listed in, let's do this one. This data right here is listed in row 5,790, even though it's only about 20 rows down, maybe not even quite that much, maybe 15. If we were to clear the filter, that will hop all the way down to number 5,790 in the list. So this is a great way to filter data so that you can see it. It's not necessarily the best way to actually try to sort data because that may not be possible. You can choose to sort data if you want to get rid of these, by the way. You can click on your clear filter, or you can go up here to sort and filter and hit clear, and this will clear all filters. So clearing from here just clears the filter for that column. This one will clear all of them at once. So just gone and cleared all of them. Now, let's say we wanted to sort. Okay, and I wanted to sort, let's say by order date. What I could do is sort oldest to newest. Notice it says oldest to newest because it recognizes that this column is filled with dates. So we can go sort oldest to newest. But here's the problem. This one here, which was previously line number 5,000 and some odd, is now line number 62. And the reason for that being is we've actually changed the physical location of this row within the document. We've actually changed where in this document this information exists. Can be useful if you want your document structured like this. Like, say you have a list of clients and they're all alphabetized. That's fabo. But the problem is, if you have any spreadsheet which references this information, like say an equation on another sheet which comes back and looks for cell F63, if you're changing what's in row F53, you're also changing what's in this cell, and now you've broken your equation. That might not make a lot of sense at this very second, because we haven't done absolute references, but we will be doing within the next 1 or 2 lessons. So let's go ahead and undo that sort, because that is just going to play with our data in a way that we don't really want to do. We may also want to look for how much of different types of shipping we did on a certain date. So we might go, we'll deselect select all, so that I don't have to go through checking all the boxes. Go to September of 2011, and it's only going to show me September of 2011, which is a small amount. And I can also, where's my ship mode, change my ship to, once again, just Express Air. So now I can see how many packages were sent by Express Air in September of a certain year. So essentially what you're working with when you're working with filters is, when you want to look at a specific piece of data in a large data set, you need to just look at very specific things. This is a great way to generate a report of some type. Alternatively, another reason you might need to use this is if you're generating some kind of graph and you only want to have certain fields available or certain rows available to you based on what you want to throw into your graph. But that's about it. So very, very I would say straightforward, even if limited in its usefulness. This is more of a, I guess, a searching function if you're hiding information that you don't want to use. But spend a little bit of time playing around with this, see what things you can filter by, and what effect that has in the filtering. So, no assignment to go with this, just spend a little bit of time playing around with the spreadsheet. You will, of course, have found this in your OneNote. And that's it for this very brief Lesson 7. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.